Or welcome back to the channel. Oh God, here we are with another weekly horoscope. I really hadn't looked too deeply at the transits for this week until like a few hours ago. I'm such a manifesting generator. But when I did, I was like, you know, I've also seen other astrologers saying like this is the worst week of 2025 and blah 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 blah. And like I feel like we already had the worst week of 2025. I feel like things might still be challenging this upcoming week, but I don't think it's going to get any worse than it has been, honestly. If anything, it's kind of giving like collective revolution, collective uprising, like we're done with people's shit is kind of what it's giving. Because Mars moves into Libra. Mars doesn't like to be in Libra. Saturn is in Aries, so Mars will be opposites. Saturn and Aries, and Saturn doesn't like to be in Aries. They like to be in each other's, like, so they're kind of swapped. You know what I mean? Saturn likes to be in Libra, and Mars likes to be in Aries, so they're kind of like swapped. So we might feel tension. We'll definitely feel tension from that. But I also feel like Saturn is going to harmonize, or Mars is going to harmonize with, and Saturn has already been harmonizing with Uranus, but Mars is going to harmonize with Uranus and Pluto. So I do think there's going to be really good things that come from this. I think there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs. I think there's going to be a lot of positive change and transformation. And also in alignment with that, Mars being in a Venus ruled sign, Venus being on Jupiter, where Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, and Venus is going to get really close to joining it this upcoming weekend. And that's going to be like gaining energy and momentum all week. So I do feel like I said, good things are going to come from this, although it might be still some challenging residual leftover tension and energy from what we have been dealing with and facing over the past several months. That's really come to a peak the last couple weeks. I feel like this will be the kind of wrapping up of it. I just rewatched my 2025 update for this time of 2025 because I give a year-long update and overview of the year ahead month by month, like a month to month play by play of the year ahead in my inner circle membership. And I did that back in January. And I was rewatching what I said for this time period. And it's wild doing predictions so far out. Like I did that 8 months ago, or 7 months ago. And it's wild doing these things so far out and then seeing these things come to fruition. It's really wild for me because I typically don't like to look too far out. I think it's really hard to get a lot of energy for like to make predictions. It's really hard. It's it's a very fickle thing because there's a lot that can change. There's a lot that goes on into how energy shows up, and it's always different looking ahead than it is actually experiencing it when we're in it. So like I said, it was pretty trippy for me to look back at what I said about this time period, and most of it has come to fruition. I also said for August, which we haven't really seen yet. I mean, we're only 3 days into August at this point, but I also said for August that it felt like a lot of collective uprising energy. It felt like a lot of strikes, protests. I was talking about how my time living in France changed my view of protesting in general and how this time period feels very protesty in the US. So it feels like a time where people are just kind of like done with the shit and are going to have to find a new way of doing things, which is challenging, but ultimately is positive, like what we had to experience during the lockdowns, like what we had to experience, those of us that were adults during the housing crisis of 2008. Anytime there's a big change, anytime there's a big crisis, we have to make adjustments. We have to do things differently, and it's uncomfortable. It's challenging to change because our human nature is to do things how we've always done them. But ultimately, it is more positive in the long run, even though it's challenging, like moving. I always use this analogy when I'm talking about this kind of stuff because I move a lot. I have Uranus and Neptune in my fourth house. And I'm going through a move right now. Like I'm going to have to move next week. And it's so challenging when you're in it, but ultimately it's like you move to be somewhere you like better, or you move to a bigger place, or you move in with somebody, or you move for some positive, generally some positive reason. And although it's super challenging and it sucks really bad to move and to pack up all your stuff and to have this chaos, while that's happening. When you get to the new place and everything's how, you know, you like it and set up, although that also is challenging, it's better, right? It's better. And our lives are more positive because of that challenge and because of that change in tension. So that's how I see these transits. That's how I see, especially this week, is almost like, okay, I'm done living the way that I have been. I can't put up with it anymore. So I'm going to do something drastic to change my situation. So that's what it really feels like in general. I feel like there was something else I was going to say in the intro, and it has slipped my mind. I don't know what it was, but that is the overview energy that I wanted to share with y'all for this week. Ahead, it's really this collective, like, we're done. Lana says, I love your content, fellow Libra rising with Venus and Moon in Cancer. Oh, but also Mars and Jupiter in Libra. Oh my gosh. Leo-san, I love all that. By the way, you're looking gorgeous. Thank you. I've really been leaning into my Libra rising and putting more effort into my appearance because it makes me feel tremendously better. Even if things do suck or they're challenging, like I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, it just makes it a little better. You know what I mean? So, anyways, that's my Libra rising wisdom. Even if you don't feel good, look good. When I was super sick in France, I don't know if y'all were following me and on Instagram back then, but when I was super sick in France, I was sick for like 3 weeks. I was doing my makeup or trying to at least like every day because it just helped, even though I felt like shit and I was like blowing my nose and my makeup would be in the tissue. Like I just felt so good walking around knowing that I looked good. You know what I mean? Even though I felt like shit. So, anyways, just Venusian things. Let's get into the horoscopes. We're going to start with Aries as always. And then we also have a full moon in Aquarius. So that also, that was the main reason in my 2025 update that I said there could be this collective upheaval energy because we've really been dealing with these Martian, Mars, and Pluto themes since the end of last year. If y'all remember the Mars retrograde, before Mars went retrograde, we had Mars opposite Pluto. And so then we just had a new moon in Leo, which was opposite Pluto, and we're going to have Mercury this week opposite Pluto. So there's a lot of these themes coming to an end and wrapping up that really kind of began for us back in October, November of last year. So this is kind of like a culmination of that energy and a closing out of the chapter and a cycle we've been dealing with since then. Okay, so Aries rising, we start the week off with the moon in your ninth house. It's going to challenge Mars in your sixth. So there might be something that challenges through work or daily habit routine that challenges your perspective of life. Maybe brings some healing to your sense of self, your identity as well. It's been a huge theme. For you, Aries is really healing wounds around your identity, your appearance, your sense of self. And there could be something that triggers that on Monday. As we get into Tuesday, the moon's going to move into your 10th house. It is going to challenge Saturn and Neptune in your first house. So again, this could be more work-related stuff, bringing up wounds that maybe you didn't realize were still there and having to deal with that. As we get into Wednesday, the moon is going to be opposite Venus and Jupiter in your fourth house. So this could be some emotional tension, again, between your career, your sense of self, and what's going on with your home life or your family life in some way. It's almost like you might be like there's some identity core wound that's maybe caused you to overwork or overcompensate in some way. And there could be some tension that provides you emotional release around that identity wound or worthiness wound on Wednesday. Then as we get into Thursday, the moon moves into your 11th house over Pluto and opposite Mercury in your 5th house. There could be some big emotional transformation maybe that happens within your community related to this identity shift that's been going on. We also have on that day Mars moving into your 7th house, so there could be some tension between your relationships, and again, maybe community related things, as well as how you're communicating yourself. But it all kind of stems back to this identity shift, this identity thing that's coming up for you. Really bringing up like core wounds to light so that you can work with them and work through them so that they don't keep repeating unwanted things in your life. There could be something also on Thursday that requires you to speak up about your need or something about yourself. Then on Friday, we have the full moon in Aquarius in your 11th house. There could be some resolution or some culmination of energy as it relates to your long-term goals, visions related to community or friendships in general, maybe even related to your creative passions and projects as well. You might be getting more clarity around how that's going to look for you, how you want to move forward with these things as we get closer to Mercury being direct. Then on Saturday, the moon is going to be at the end of Aquarius in your 11th house. Really not too much craziness going on Saturday. I feel like Thursday and Friday are really the major players. And then Saturday and Sunday, as we get into the weekend, it's kind of like, okay, what do I do with this energy? We do have Mars trining Pluto on this day as well. It's kind of like, okay, I got what I needed from everything, and now I'm going to act. Now I'm going to move forward on what I learned or the wisdom that I gained, and really kind of embody and integrate whatever came up earlier in the week, is how that feels. And then we're going to have the moon moving into Pisces later on Saturday and into Sunday. It will go over the North Node and will harmonize with the Venus-Jupiter conjunction we have starting to peak on Sunday as well. So there could be, again, some clarity, especially emotional clarity around what's going on for you and the direction you want to head in the new beginning that you've been building for yourself, Aries. So that's the week ahead for you. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Taurus, we start the week off with the moon in your 8th house, harmonizing with Chiron in your 12th. But it's also, the moon is also challenging Mars in your 5th. So there could really be some things in your romantic life or your creative pursuits that have been challenging. Maybe you've really needed to release something there. And it's showing up in an emotional way on Monday in your resources. And it could really bring up this emotional clarity around a wound, a deep-seated subconscious wound as well. I mean, you've been kind of dealing with this, Taurus, for a few weeks. So this is kind of, again, like the wrapping up of this cycle and this chapter and this energy that you've had going on. As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into your 9th house. It's going to be opposite Venus in your 3rd. There could be some communication issues, maybe, again, just prompting for you to really do mindset work around whatever came up. And whatever has been coming up, it's like you really are having to take to your journal a lot and really not ignore what's going on in your mental space, because it does feel like it's really affecting you, and it can't keep playing out in your life the way that it has been. So you have to really go inside and deal with it, inside of yourself, and deal with it. But it does feel like there's something that could come from it that is positive for your career. You might get more answers or clarity around that as we get later into the week. What do we have going on now? Wednesday, we have Mars moving into your 6th house. On Wednesday, it'll be opposite. Well, it'll harmonize with Uranus. There's a lot going on with Mars. Oh my God. Mars, that's a Mars year, I swear. Anyways, there could be something positive that happens or takes hold with your career. Like I said, maybe shifts you're getting clarity around, wanting to make and move forward on, maybe even directly tied into the subconscious work that's been coming up for you, especially as we head into Thursday and the moon's going to move over Pluto in your 10th house, will be opposite Mercury in your 4th house. Maybe you could have a conversation with family or somebody in your home that helps you get that clarity around how to act on these changes and how to move forward with this transformation that you want to make. That's also going to be a big theme of the full moon for you on Friday, as it will be in your 10th house. There could be some illumination of energy, emotional drive, what you wanted to do, how you wanted to move forward or make changes in your career. As it relates to what's going on like inside of you, it really feels like a way to process it or cope with it for you is to also bring it into your career in some way. Then as we get into the weekend, we're going to have the moon moving into Pisces early on Sunday, but for most of Saturday, I think it's going to be a lot of this integrating what came up with the full moon and what's going on with Mars. Like Mars is really challenging your mental health, but it is also promoting this positive transformation and change within your money and your career and what you're doing on a daily basis to support not only your mental health, but also your physical health. And you might be attracting people in your life or utilizing people in your life to help with those changes in ways that you need as well. And then I feel like the rest of the weekend is really just an integration of whatever came up, and how to move forward with the realizations. So that's the week ahead for you, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Gemini Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your seventh house. This feels like there's a big focus on, there could be something positive that comes through with a relationship or just with expressing yourself differently. Maybe you're stepping into this new form of self-expression or creativity. And that feels like it could be emotionally supported by somebody in your life Monday into Tuesday, but there could also maybe be some challenges of needing to release maybe just some residual stuff, in order to have that emotional support in the ways that you need and act on that energy. As we get into Tuesday, the moon and Sagittarius will be challenging Mars in your fourth. Again, kind of maybe bringing that energy of emotional tension between being able to act on the changes and the maybe purging or organizing that has been happening within your home and what is pulling you emotionally maybe into relationships. But I do feel like there is the energy as we get later into Tuesday for emotional healing as it relates to having or feeling supported by the people in your life. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your eighth house, opposite Venus in your second. There could be some organization happening around money. There could be an emotional focus on what you want to do with your resources, organizing it, how you're making it, what you're doing with it. Are you spending your money and have things in your life that really support and nourish you or not? It feels like this energy of kind of structuring that and making emotionally driven changes as needed, to that area of your life. Then, as we get into Thursday, Mars moves into your fifth house. It's going to harmonize with Uranus in your first. There could be this renewal of creative energy coming towards the end of the week for you, Gemini. There could be this really big shift of energy as it relates to like what you're doing, who you are being, what you're creating, and how you're sharing it with the world. Then we're going to have, excuse me, the moon move into Aquarius on Pluto in your ninth house. It will be opposite Mercury in your third. So there could be some mindset things coming up. Like, what about your mental health or your subconscious, your belief systems need to kind of shift to match these changes you're making in your physical life? It's almost like, okay, like all this is coming together, but it's also bringing up things that haven't changed about my mindset and how I'm viewing these things. I do feel like that's going to be the biggest energy of the full moon for you, Gemini, that we have Friday, Saturday, as it's going to be in your ninth house, really illuminating your belief systems, your philosophies of life, how you're viewing the world around you. And there could be some big breakthrough or shift that comes from this energy as we get into the weekend. Then on Sunday, the moon moves into your 10th house, and it's kind of like, okay, I got this clarity. I made these shifts and these changes, and now I can put this creative energy into my career and act on the clarity I received from everything that transpired during the week. So that is the week ahead for you, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Cancer Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your sixth house of day-to-day work and routine. You could be really emotionally focused on like making money, on kind of maybe changing your daily habits up in order to have a more fulfilling way that you're making money. You might get emotional clarity around that too. But then as we get into Tuesday, the moon is going to challenge Mars in your third house. So it could feel like this, maybe you've been spinning your wheels a little bit. And again, it kind of comes down to how you're viewing things. How do I say this? Like, you're gonna continue to spin your wheels and like take two steps forward and one step back if you're just doing pure action and not actually checking in with like your mindset and how you're viewing things while you're taking that action, right? Or where that action is stemming from. Like, if it's stemming from not feeling secure or feeling fearful or whatever, like that action is not going to be very fruitful. But if you're taking action from a place of like, no, I know this is what I want and I'm inspired to do this in order to have it, that's different, right? So it's kind of like you're questioning and really being introspective about where your what is driving your actions. And there might be some emotional healing around that as we get into Tuesday and the moon harmonizes with Chiron before it squares Mars. Then as we get into Wednesday, the moon is moving into your seventh house opposite Venus in your first. So there could be some, maybe just emotional tension between you, your values, and somebody in your life. That also could challenge something about your career in some way or how you've been showing up in your career and the changes you've been making there. Then as we get into Thursday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your 10th house. So there could be somebody in your life that maybe really emotionally triggers something about your career or something as it relates to like your identity tied into your career. I don't know. There's some big emotional wound that comes up and doesn't feel so great on Thursday, but I do feel like it's going to provide this framework for emotional transformation, especially as we get into Friday and the moon moves into your eighth house over Pluto, opposite Mercury in your second house. This could be an emotional breakthrough, emotional transformation around, again, your belief systems and what is at the root of the action that you're taking, and is it really benefiting you? It does feel like a positive shift that comes through this realization. Then we have Friday into Saturday. We have the full moon in your eighth house, maybe bringing up themes around resources, around money. Maybe you're wanting to shift up how you're investing or what you're doing with your money, and really thinking of more meaningful ways to make it, spend it, save it, whatever. It's like you're just getting more clarity around all of that. Also, Mars is in your fourth house now in Libra, so there could be some challenging things in your home life, your family life, between your home, your family, and your career. But I do feel like it's supporting this positive transformation that's been building as it relates to what's going on in these, these deep mindset things that are shifting and these deep money things that are shifting for you, Cancer. And then I do feel like Sunday, as we get into Sunday, the moon moves into your ninth house, and it's kind of like this reprieve, this kind of like, okay, that's how I want to move forward on this. That's almost like an emotional clarity, an emotional breakthrough, we could call it. I do feel like there's just going to be these trickle breakthroughs that continue to happen throughout the week for you, Cancer, that will give you clarity on how to act on these things you want to move forward with. So that is the week ahead for you. Let me know how it resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Leo Rising, we start the week off on Monday with the moon in your fifth house. You could be feeling a little bit more creatively inspired than normal. You could also feel a little bit challenged with money and wanting to just organize it better there, especially as we get into Tuesday and the moon is going to challenge Mars in your second house. But it could feel like whatever's happening in your creative passions or your romance, your dating life could be at odds with what's going on in your money. It could feel like you're emotionally pulled in this one direction, but you also want to take action in this other direction that feel at odds with one another. I do feel like there will be some emotional breakthrough, maybe in terms of like your perspective and how you're viewing things on Tuesday, as the moon is also going to harmonize with Chiron. There could be some emotional healing of a wound around how you're viewing your life and the perspective you have of it. As we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your sixth house. This could be when you're really focused on taking action in terms of what's going on with your money, what's going on with your work. But it does feel, again, at odds with like your values and with what's going on in terms of like things coming to light that were previously hidden from you in your subconscious, or through like some retreat you've maybe some hermit mode you've kind of stepped into. It's almost like you're really pulled in a lot of directions and it feels very overwhelming on Wednesday. But I do feel like there will be some sort of clarity you receive from that, maybe especially as Mars moves into your third house on Thursday, and you kind of feel this renewal of energy that maybe happens super unexpectedly. Maybe it happens through a gathering with a friend, or through some kind of conversation that you have. I do feel like there is a positive transformation brewing, even though it still feels like there's a lot of things in your life that are at odds with one another. You know, as we get more into the week, the clarity does come and the insights do come on how to move forward and kind of piece these things together that have felt really scattered. Especially as we get into Friday and you know, the moon moving over Pluto in your seventh house really supports a positive transformation as it relates to what's going on in your relationships. There's a lot of harmony between, and it might come down to just how you're communicating yourself. And it might also feel like you need to take action or communicate yourself in a way that's at odds with your perspective of life. So again, there's a lot of shifts happening within your belief systems, your mindset, how you're viewing the world around you, and how that's creating your interactions in a positive or negative way. And you might get some emotional clarity on how to change that, how to shift these things up as we head into the Friday and head into Friday and into the full moon that is building. And that will peak Friday into Saturday in your seventh house. So there could be some illumination of a relationship or a culmination, manifestation of a relationship for you, Leo, as we head into the weekend, maybe related to that clarity you received and how you're acting on the clarity you've received thus far as earlier in the week. Then as we get into Sunday, I do feel like there could be this positive emotional shift as the moon moves into Pisces in your eighth house. But that also is going to put the focus for you back on your money. But I also feel like there's supportive people that you can lean on for help around all of this. And it's almost like you're overcoming this perspective of like you have to do it all yourself, because you don't. So that's the week out for you, Leo. Let me know how that resonates, and I will see you next week. Okay, Virgo Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your fourth house. There could be some clarity that comes through around a move for you, or just something that you want to change within your home. And then as we get into Tuesday, the moon challenges Mars in your first house after it harmonizes with Chiron in your eighth house. So there could be something that happens within your home with your family life that is just this kind of sudden shift that maybe you didn't expect. And then it kind of heals a part of you that had been, how do I say this? Like it almost heals your perspective with money. And it heals this identity wound that has been needing attention for the last few weeks and has been a big focus of your life, Virgo, is like, who am I? How do I want to be? How do I want to step into this new chapter of my life? It's like you're getting clarity through some sort of challenge or tension that forces you to evolve and grow in these areas and really see yourself and see your ability to create resources differently than you have before. As we get into Wednesday, this could be a really creative time for you, but I do feel like you're going to be emotionally wanting to focus on creativity or romance in some way or passions, but there might be a pull in terms of your community, your network, or your career that kind of puts tension on your ability to focus on emotionally what you really want to be focused on Tuesday into Wednesday. And then on Thursday, the Mars moves into your second house, as we're going to have a challenging aspect with the moon and Chiron. So again, bringing up those themes around money and creative passions as it relates to that. And then like acting on these changes you want to make and know you have needed to make within your resources, within your finances, within your money. It's really like going to the root of what is been causing those issues there and changing them to have a more positive experience with those things. Like it's like I was saying in the intro, this week is really like challenge, but it creates miracles. And it's almost like I'm getting like the Four Cups energy where we don't really like, we're so focused on what's in front of us, we don't see like the miracle that's coming in from our peripheral, and it's like but it's still coming in, right? So that's really this energy, and it's just building all week. I do feel there will be an emotional shift, breakthrough, transformation as we get into Friday for you, Virgo, as the moon moves over Pluto in your sixth house. Could be related to your work, your physical health, your day-to-day routines. um maybe those mindset shifts that have been culminating for you as well. I mean, this is where the full moon is going to be for you. Friday into Saturday is your sixth house, so it could really illuminate these changes you need to make as it relates to your routine, especially maybe your relationship with people or how you're serving humanity with your gifts. There could be a lot changing for you that feels like this is a lot all at once, but it's also very positive. So that is the week ahead for you, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Libra rising. We start the week off with the moon in your third house. You could be feeling a lot more expressive. The start of the week feeling more like creating content or whatever, creating things or just expressing yourself, or maybe feeling more lively emotionally. Also could be really focused on like day-to-day tasks and routines, who you're talking to, what you're doing, how you're organizing your time, that kind of thing as well. Then as we get into Tuesday, there could be some challenges between your expression, your communication, your belief systems, and what's been going on in your mental health, what's been going on in like kind of this repressed energy. There could be some big emotional challenge that promotes you to grow and evolve, and maybe heal something within your relationship wounds as well, or any wounds related to relationships or other people in your life could be positively emotionally supported by this, even though it does feel challenging when it happens. And it might be something that is very fiery when it happens too. So maybe scream into your pillow or something before you scream at somebody and regret it. Um, as we get into Wednesday, the moon moves into your fourth house, into Capricorn. It's going to challenge Saturn and Neptune in your seventh. So there could be some emotional challenge between your home, your living situation, and somebody in your life. Then the moon is going to be opposite Venus in your 10th. So again, there could be these emotional issues in your home, or maybe even like wounds that are coming up from childhood, related to what's been coming up for you there, and also maybe adding tension to your career in some way, or your ability to focus on your career in some way. Or maybe your career is bringing up these wounds that were deep seated from childhood for you, Wednesday into Thursday. Then later on Thursday, we do have a challenging aspect between the moon and Chiron in your seventh house. So there could again be this emotionally challenging thing within your home, within your living situation, that brings up a wound or a trigger within a relationship or with somebody else in your life. But I do feel like there's going to be this positive breakthrough and shift around that as we head into Friday. And the moon moves into Aquarius in your fifth house over Pluto and opposite Mercury in your 11th. There could be this big mindset shift, this big emotional transformation that kind of comes to the forefront of your awareness. Also, Mars is in your first house now, and it's harmonizing with Uranus in your ninth. There's a lot of like kind of there's a lot of this emotional energy building for you, Libra, and it's almost like you have to channel it into something that's going to be beneficial, that's going to be maybe a creative passion or pursuit, as opposed to like picking fights that you don't need to have or don't want to have with people in your life, is kind of what this energy feels like. And then the full moon for you, Libra, will be in your fifth house. So there could be some culmination of a relationship, a romantic thing, or creative passion that you get clarity around Friday into Saturday as we have this full moon. Some realization that you have around how you want to move forward with what's going on in your dating life or your creative passions and projects as well. Maybe also community is coming up, getting more clarity around what that looks like to you, how you want to build it, what you want to do with it, that kind of thing. And I do feel like that, that kind of brings a reprieve and a lightness that wasn't there before. You have the clarity now on how to move forward with it as we get on into the weekend, especially Sunday. As the moon moves into Pisces in your sixth house, there could be this feeling of lightness, this feeling of like emotional creativity that comes from that too. It's like, okay, I know how to move forward with this. I'm going to channel it into something productive, and not let it kind of blow up my life. That's the week ahead for you, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Scorpio Rising. We start the week off with the moon in your second house. This could be bringing up a lot of belief system stuff around money and maybe needing to take a little bit more inspired action to have a different experience with money in your life. This is also a really great day for your career to be doing something in your career that maybe you've been putting off related to money. Then Tuesday, before the moon moves into Capricorn, we have it challenge Mars and we have it harmonized with Chiron. So there could be some emotional healing that comes from that through a challenge or friction happening within your community or on social media or with like what's going on in your plan for your life. It feels like there's been a lot of change there and there's been a lot of momentum of like needing to do things differently. So you could be emotionally challenged to get that clarity to evolve and change and take action on what has been building for you, what you've been wanting to do. Then, like I said, later Tuesday, midday Tuesday, we have the moon moving into Capricorn in your third house. You could be feeling more expressive, but that could come at a challenge or conflict to your daily routines, or maybe like you're just not feeling it. Like it's almost like you're at war with yourself. Like you're like, I should do this, but I feel like doing this. It's almost like you have to catapult yourself out of some energetic fog in order to do what you want to do and act on this energy that's there. Then as we get into Wednesday, the moon's going to be opposite Venus and Jupiter in your ninth house. So again, this could really be bringing up mindset stuff, belief system stuff. How is what you're telling yourself, your mental health, playing into how you experience life? Then as we get into Thursday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron in your sixth house. So this could be revisiting themes that came up earlier in the week and an emotionally triggering way. And it's like, okay, what do I want to do with this? How can I evolve this energy? I feel like, my God, there's a lot of like throat stuff coming up for you. Scorpio, obviously, I don't think this has ever happened to me in a weekly update. You have to like learn how to express yourself better. It's like that came through so blunt, but that's what I'm getting. I think the middle of the week is really gonna show you that of like, I need to speak my needs more. I need to speak up for myself more. I need to say this differently and do this differently so that it actually changes. Then there could be some big emotional breakthrough transformation that happens because of that on as we get into Friday and the moon moves into your fourth house. But it could feel like you're kind of there's tension between your what's going on in your home and your family and your career and your ability to create there. It's kind of like you have to work out what's best for you and do what you can while you can, as you can. Also, Mars is in your 12th house now. As someone who just experienced this, it's not super fun, but it does bring up a lot of repressed stuff for you to sort through, for you to clear. Um, and it's almost like too it's okay to be seen for your weirdness. It's okay to be seen for your vulnerability. It's okay to be seen like as you as all these things are happening. Does that make sense? So it's like don't shy away from sharing about this stuff because it is your magic. It is what makes you you and is what is going to build the career that you've been stepping into. As we get into Friday into Saturday, we have the full moon in your fourth house. There could be some answers or culminations, manifestation around a new home, moving, something like that for you that's going to positively benefit your career as well and just give you a better, stable foundation moving forward. And then as we get into Sunday, the moon moves in your fifth house. I do feel like there's going to be this relief, this reprieve, this shift in your energy, and you might be feeling more creative. You might be feeling more inspired as we get later into the weekend and head into next week. So that's the week ahead for you, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Sagittarius, we start the week off with the moon in your first house. You could be feeling more emotionally expressive, but that also could trigger some things within your career Monday into Tuesday. Um, there could just be some challenging things that are happening within your career, and you're having to learn how to navigate them differently than you have been. Maybe just some routine like changes and bumps in the road that you're having to like figure out how you need to better plan or organize things differently than how you have been. But I do feel like there could also be some creative breakthrough because of that as we get into Tuesday. Then the moon moves into Capricorn in your second house. Have you focused on money? Maybe just organizing your assets or your finances better. Maybe just kind of looking at stuff and thinking like, hey, what do I want to do with it? How do I want to invest it? It's all about career and money for you right now, Sagittarius. So what needs to be organized there? What needs to be done differently in a way that's going to actually help you and benefit you long term? Especially on Wednesday, as the moon is going to be opposite Venus and Jupiter in your eighth house of resources. So again, there's this big focus on money. What are you doing with it? How are you making it? Where is it going? That kind of thing. Then as we get later into the week, Thursday, we have Mars moving into your 11th house. You could be really focused on your long-term goals and visions related to like what came up earlier in the week, and maybe also spending more time in community, having events or going to events, that kind of thing. It does feel like there could be some positive change within your relationships because of this. Again, maybe just putting yourself around people who you really fit in with, or you feel you feel better connected to. But that could feel at odds with like your creative pursuits or your dating in some way. It does feel like there's friction, even though there is harmony in all of those areas. Also on Thursday, the moon is going to challenge Chiron. So again, there could be some wound that is brought up through all of this as well. But I do feel like there will be a positive emotional shift as we head into Friday. The moon moves into your third house over Pluto. It does feel like you're getting clarity around maybe mindset shifts or breakthroughs as it relates to like your perspective of life, and just how you're kind of viewing things moving forward. It's almost like reevaluating the stories you're telling yourself and how that's creating your reality is a big focus later in the week. Related to whatever came up during the week. Then we have the full moon Friday into Saturday in your third house. Again, maybe this big change in your daily life, or how you're viewing life, or how you're communicating yourself or showing up within your community and sharing your gifts with people. As we get into the weekend after that full moon, I mean, there's a lot going on with Mars right now. I do feel like it's adding tension in ways that aren't super comfortable, especially Mercury and Pluto too. But it is creating these positive changes that maybe you've been like wanting to have or wanting to live or manifest for quite some time. So it does feel like there's relief around um these challenges. It's almost like you're grateful that they happen, which is a good perspective to have because it created positive changes that were needed in your life and you've been wanting for some time. So that's the week ahead for you, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Capricorn Rising, we start the week off with the moon in your 12th house. This could be bringing up some subconscious themes for you, maybe related to money or related to like your belief systems and just how you're viewing life. There's a lot about your perspective that is changing, and it's because you're making it a focus to do the inner work. Tuesday, we have the moon move into Capricorn, but before it does that, it's going to challenge Mars in your ninth house. Again, more subconscious themes, perspective of life themes. What has really been changing there for you, and how can you make the most of that? Whether it's like taking to your journal to really sort out what is there and how to reframe it, and not have it repeat itself in the ways that it has maybe been repeating itself. And then there could be some emotional healing or breakthrough that comes in your home or your family life because of that as well. I would say early midday on Tuesday. Then, like I said, we have the moon move into your first house in Capricorn. You could be feeling more emotionally clear, more emotionally sensitive as well, more emotionally focused on yourself. But there could also be tension as we get into Wednesday between your relationships and your ability to emotionally focus on yourself. It's like you want to have and feel this expansion in your relationships, but you also have so much going on with you that needs to be a focus too. Wednesday, Mars moves into your 10th house, and there's suddenly this big shift to maybe take action or focus or do things differently within your career, and within your routine as well, within what you're doing on a daily basis. Again, there's a lot changing about you, and there's a big need for you to prioritize that before you put all of your energy, your time into what's changing or what's expanding about your relationships with people. Thursday, we're going to have the moon challenging Chiron in your fourth house. So there could be some emotional trigger that happens within your home or within your family, that maybe gives you clarity on how to move forward with what's going on there. Excuse me. And the wounds you've been healing there. Later on Thursday, the moon moves over Pluto in your second house. So there could be an emotional transformation around money, a breakthrough that happens there related to your mindset, how you're viewing things. That's also going to be a big theme of the full moon for you, Capricorn, as it's going to be in your second house. There could be, an influx of money in some way. Maybe you've been manifesting that for quite some time, and it's like finally it's here. That is going to be the big focus of the full moon for you, is really your finances, your resources, what you're doing with it, where it's going, etc. Then as we get into the weekend, it feels like a lot of just organizational stuff and kind of like really, you've got the clarity, you've got the breakthroughs, and now you're moving forward with what you have received needs to change, or yeah, like it's almost like you've paved the way for this new beginning, and the weekend comes and it's like, okay, now it's go time. So that's the week ahead for you, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Aquarius Rising, we start the week off with the moon in Sag in your 11th house. There could be a focus on community, putting yourself out there, maybe in ways you haven't, but it also is maybe challenging your resources, or something like deep within you. But it does feel like, there's a big opportunity for you to put yourself around people who are going to inspire you right now, who are going to help you remember that life isn't always awful. It really feels like there's this need to put yourself around people who are going to inspire you and really support you right now with all these changes that you're experiencing. As we get into Tuesday, the moon moves into your 12th house. It's going to be opposite Venus in your sixth, and then Jupiter there as well. So there could be this, maybe you spent time with people and it helped you to realize like, oh, I really need to like do some inner work and create some space for me to look within. But there also could be some tension between doing that and having the emotional space to do that, and what's going on with your work, or what's going on with your health or daily routine. It's kind of like the first half of the week you're learning how to balance all the things in your life, um, in ways that are going to really ultimately support you moving forward. Then Wednesday, later on the day on Wednesday, Mars moves into your ninth house. So there's this focus on, again, your perspective of life, how you're viewing all of these things that are happening for you, and for your evolution, and to positively change how you've been viewing and going about life before. It's not easy, change is never easy, like I talked about in the intro, but it is really going to benefit you long term. And so it's kind of like you're learning how to see it that way, as opposed to this kind of doom and gloom perspective. There could be some big emotional shift around that as we start to head into the end of the week. Thursday, moon moves into your first house over Pluto, opposite Mercury in your seventh. There could again be some supportive person in your life that helps you to see things differently, that helps you to have this emotional shift and transformation, with just how you're viewing life. That could also bring about this big energetic shift, this big kind of like shift in your creativity or your inspiration. If you've been feeling kind of stagnant with those things, it does feel like this energetic renewal happening for you as we get later on Thursday and then into the weekend. The full moon for you, Aquarius, is going to be in your first house. So again, this could really illuminate you and really put the focus on, okay, what do I need to have emotional fulfillment? What do I need, to move forward and to really like integrate these things that life is showing me I need to maybe change about myself or change about my life moving forward. Um, I mean, I feel like I've said change so much in this horoscope, but that's really like, which is not easy for fixed signs, but I do feel like you're starting to see it differently, and you're starting to see how it is going to be really positive for you, even though it's challenging and tough in the moment. But lean on support that's there. Um, and maybe really be on your positive mindset affirmations or things like that are really going to help you kind of shift how you're viewing all these things that are happening. So that's the week ahead for you, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Okay, Pisces Rising. Uh, Okay, we start the week off with the moon in your 10th house. You could be really focused on your career, but it could feel like that's at odds with what's going on in your relationships. But I also feel like there's gonna be some breakthrough emotionally that happens within your career that positively benefits or heals something about your money. Maybe money wounds, things like that. I feel like that's been a huge focus for you, Pisces, is like, how are you making money? How are your thoughts contributing to like that experience? How are you choosing to see yourself as worthy of having money for what you're sharing or what you're creating or what you're putting out into the world, right? And it's kind of like these all things are supporting those having those shifts around that early in the week. Then later on Tuesday, the moon moves into Capricorn and it's going to be opposite Venus and Jupiter in your fifth house. It could feel like you're kind of torn on Tuesday between your community, and maybe there's something also, again, emotionally that comes up around money because of almost maybe something around responsibility or around like maybe you're seeing all your friends go on Europe summers and you're like, I really want that. Like, how do I create that for myself? And so you kind of like have to develop this game plan a little bit. But it also feels like, don't compare yourself too much because you're on the journey you're on for a reason. And like the focus right now really needs to be on what you're creating, what you're sharing, not necessarily on comparing yourself to what you don't have. Does that make sense? Then as we get into Wednesday, later on Wednesday, the Mars moves into your eighth house again, kind of triggering these things around resources, around money, around feeling supported by money, and really in all areas, but also like feeling emotionally supported and feeling, how do I say this? Like supported by you at a deep subconscious level. There's this need for you to really learn how to be your own cheerleader right now, and somehow make that a part of your daily routine of like building yourself up as opposed to comparing yourself and seeing like what you don't have. Does that make sense? I feel like that's a huge message for you this week, Pisces, is like stepping into this more confident version of yourself by hyping yourself up, like being your own hype person. um then as we get into Thursday, there could be something that triggers that even more early Thursday. Then later on Thursday, the moon moves into Aquarius over Pluto in your 12th house. That could really trigger this deep transformation around that, in an emotional way. You might have a big emotional release that really helps you kind of see things differently and see things more clearly and be like, you know what, I am the shit. I am worthy and deserving of having all these things. And the people that have those things that I want believe that about themselves, and that's why they have it. um yeah, and then it's really just this big emotional transformation at a deep subconscious level is supported for you later on Thursday. And that's where the full moon in Aquarius is going to be for you as well. As we, Friday into Saturday, as we get into the weekend, there's going to be these big illuminations around your subconscious, your mindset, how you're balancing your mindset with your physical health. And again, like being your own best cheerleader and support system. If you don't have those people in your life that feel supportive, like how can you create it for yourself? Or how can you seek it out on social media or whatever, community memberships, whatever it is, having that system. But it also starts with you is going to be a major theme of this full moon for you, Pisces. And then I think as we head into the weekend, you get more clarity around how to act on that, and how to move forward with that in your life as a kind of staple. So that is the week ahead for you, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. All right, y'all. I hope your horoscope resonated with you. If you're just hopping on or you missed yours, the timestamps will be posted in a few minutes. I got to do it manually, so give me some time. It's also Mercury retrograde. It's been taking longer for the video to process. But yeah, if you were here live, I love you. If you're watching the replay, I love you. Let me know in the comments how yours resonated with you, and I will see you next week. Bye.